which begs the question, could Hillary Clinton be the next person indicted?
There's certainly going to be more indictments coming over the next 3.5 years of the Trump administration. If you look at the Comey indictment, Martha, this was a grand jury indictment delivered in Alexandria, Virginia, not exactly a hotbed of Donald Trump's political support. There were three requested indictments. The grand jury returned 2 of those 3 indictments. So I think they showed they were judicious. I think that it showed clearly that there were a couple of things that James Comey did wrong.
James Comey has been indicted for lying to Congress. And now the big question everyone's asking, could Hillary Clinton be next? This is where things get interesting because the trail doesn't stop at Comey. It goes straight back to the Clinton machine and the Russia collusion hoax that nearly tore this country apart. And I'll tell you what, J.D. Vance went on a show over the weekend and he really revealed some information that some of us were waiting to hear.
There's certainly going to be more indictments coming over the next 3.5 years of the Trump administration. If you look at the Comey indictment, Martha, this was a grand jury indictment delivered in Alexandria, Virginia, not exactly a hotbed of Donald Trump's political support. There were 3 requested indictments. The grand jury returned 2 of those 3 indictments. So I think they showed they were judicious. I think that it showed clearly that there were a couple of things that James Comey did wrong.
The deep state reckoning is just beginning, with the grand jury indicting former FBI Director James Comey for lying to and obstructing Congress. The charges center around Comey's congressional testimony regarding the origins of the Russia hoax. And some believe he could face even more charges for his role in it.
Will be lucky if there is not a grand conspiracy charge brought. Comey and company and all of them got involved in the so-called Clinton plan, which, if you remember, the Clinton plan was to do what? To say that the Trump campaign was colluding with the Russians. That's like the quintessential definition of conspiracy.
This is the tip of the iceberg. He leaked classified information to create a narrative politically. I think that's a strong case. But there's so much else. Comey knew then what we all know now and ignored it. I believe he withheld exculpatory information from the court because he wanted Trump to be found guilty.
But some are defending Comey, including his former right-hand man, Andrew McCabe.
My opinion, I want to step back and look at the bigger picture here. A grand jury in Virginia just returned indictments against James Comey, the former FBI director, for obstruction and lying under oath. That alone is huge. But the whispers we're hearing now are even bigger. If prosecutors are willing to go after the former head of the FBI, who's to say Hillary Clinton herself is off the table? You remember this so-called Clinton plan in 2016, where her campaign funneled millions of dollars using Michael Steele to create this fake dossier to smear President Trump with this false Russia collusion claims. CNN itself reported her campaign manager admitted that they planned to leak this information to the press. That is not a right-wing talking point. That is on the record. That is a fact. And yet when Hillary told Congress under oath that none of her emails contain classified information, the FBI never even followed up. Now that's where James Comey is on the hook. No investigation, no accountability. That all changes now. With Comey on the hook now, pressure is going to mount, and I believe he will sing like a stool pigeon. And in Washington, once one domino falls, everyone starts looking for a deal. And I'm going to tell you right now, James Comey, Clapper, Brennan, McCabe, Strzok, the entire laundry list of dirty disciples, they're all going to start looking for a deal. Here's the real question. Is this just the beginning of a deep state reckoning, a cabal, or will the establishment close ranks to protect its own? What you're about to hear from McCabe, one of Comey's own little minions, is very interesting because if Comey faces charges, Hillary Clinton has to be looking over her dirty shoulder. Let's play the rest of this.
I'm not aware of Jim Comey ever authorizing some other person to leak information. That's not something I experienced personally. It's not something I saw in all the time I spent working around Jim Comey. I didn't ever see Jim Comey authorizing other people to leak information.
Right.
All right, Joey, answering a reporter's question is a lot different than what you say to Congress when you're under oath.
Yeah, the indictment was short and sweet. So there's a lot of information that we don't have, such as what exactly they indicted him on. But you got McCabe there saying, I don't think I ever remember that, but it's also his testimony juxtaposed to Comey's that Ted Cruz was getting at. So I don't know much about this, and I'm not a lawyer, but I do know a big part of the government's plan, usually in things like this, is to start to get someone to tell on the other to keep themselves out of trouble. And when Vance and Trump are signaling things, and I don't think they're a part of the Justice Department's investigation here, but when many people are saying things like, I think there are more to come, I wonder if that's part of it. If the idea is to put pressure in so many places, somebody says, hey, I'll talk to get me out of this.
Yeah, the paperwork, the notes, and the personal notes, that's what I think a lot of what the FBI is in the Department of Justice is looking at, which begs the question, could Hillary Clinton be the next person indicted? During a 2016 congressional hearing, I pressed Comey on Hillary, and he denied that she ever lied to him.
Did Hillary Clinton lie under oath?
Not to the FBI, not in a case we're working.
Did you review the documents where Congressman Jim Jordan asked her specifically, and she said, quote, there was nothing marked classified on my emails, either sent or received, end quote.
I don't remember reviewing that particular testimony. I'm aware of that being said, though.
Did the FBI investigate her statements under oath on this topic?
Not to my knowledge. I don't think there's been a referral from Congress.
Do you need a referral from Congress to investigate her statements under oath?
Sure do.
You'll have one.
There you go. Dev, this is amazing to see the tapes of Comey used against him right now, because he said that if he had Trump on tape, then that was the game over. This was broadcast in Congress. Guys, it's going to get ugly for Comey. It's going to get ugly for the people around Comey, which is more important. Now, some other stuff happened in the news today, but that was the big story. And I'm going to tell you right now, some of this other stuff, some people are going to like, some people aren't, but we're going to hit it because that's what we do here. We don't get involved in the media's spin. We cut right through it. We are dedicated to unpacking the daily news, giving you real analysis with no filter. And let's go right after it. Today in the White House, Donald Trump met with Benjamin Netanyahu to discuss this peace deal in Gaza. Steve Bannon gives his own side of this. But there is some information that Tulsi Gabbard brought up that needs to be discussed, and I believe that you need to hear. Let's roll the footage.
Well, it's obviously Netanyahu's government, right, is dangerous for the United States, not an ally. They're a protector, and they're not acting like it's the tail wagging the dog. But President Trump, let me just go back, and we're going to cut to the White House as soon as the president wants people in for the bilat. Now, what I understand for people moving around, I'm not so sure that's going to happen. I think it may be a little heated in there this morning, a little heated. And when I refer back to the Times of India, they took the story from the Times of Israel, put it up first, and then I got the Times of Israel.
I think things got a little heated as well because I believe Donald Trump just laid down the gauntlet. Look, you're going to get a peace deal done. I'm getting involved. I'm running the negotiations. I want you to get your hostages back. I want this settled. The American people have had enough. It's actually affecting us here in our country. You need to fix your own problems. That's what I believe Steve Bannon was getting to. And you can go check out his channel. He's got good stuff. Some of the stuff I don't agree with, but that's okay. This is the way we are. We are adult men here in the United States, and we can disagree on things. But Bannon nailed it. We've got to resolve this, and I believe Trump is the man to do it. I've got you another great. This happened in Congress. Senator John Kennedy just laid it out about all of the money that was being stolen from the American taxpayer and where it was actually going.
You're getting rid of $5.5 million to lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and intersex advocacy in Uganda, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
I can't believe we're arguing about this. I can't believe we're arguing about this. PEPFAR, we're not denying life-saving care to anybody, are we?
No, and $10 billion would remain for that funding.
$10 billion is going to remain for that funding. Did you hear that? The Democrat Party is trying to shut down the government because we just cut off 5.5 million to Uganda for their password people. Can you believe this? The Democrat Party wants money for these types of things, yet we have people here in this country that are struggling to get health care. We're having problems with veterans struggling to get dental care, struggling to get health care, struggling to get off the street. This is one hell of a hill to die on for the Democrat Party.
And the politicians that foment it, that are saying directly, they're almost giving the go sign to these operations and to create the anarchy in their city for political gain. Final thought on that?
It's despicable. It is detestable. I mean, Governor Newsom is probably the worst offender in this regard, but you see one governor on the left after another, one mayor after another, one member of Congress after another, who is choosing to foment violence against law enforcement, against Republicans, against conservatives, against Christians. It is abominable. But at the end of the day, the answer to all of this is going to be federal law enforcement delivering accountability and justice on behalf of the American people. That's what must happen. Brian, that is what will happen.
Okay, so this is Stephen Miller talking to Brian Kilmeade. You have governors of various states, California, Gavin Newsom, Oregon, I don't even need to know their governor's name. You got J.B. Pritzker in Chicago or Illinois, basically saying to the president, we don't want your help. We want lawless violence to continue in our states. This is not going to continue. Stephen Miller, Donald Trump, Tom Homan, J.D. Vance, Pete Hegseth are meeting tomorrow with generals from every branch of service and admirals to discuss the involvement of the United States military in these sanctuary cities. And it's only sanctuary cities where this is happening. Love to get your comment down below. Do you think the military is needed? Do you think Donald Trump has the right under the Insurrection Act of 1807 to assert military presence in these cities? I believe protecting the citizen is better and more important than protecting the feelings of these woke governors. Leave a comment down below. Let's keep moving. Next up, you have Don Lemond. That's French for lemon. And whenever people start talking about rhetoric and violence and what is agitating and radicalizing people, over the last 48, 72 hours, we had 2 American veterans, Marine veterans, do heinous acts of violence against people. And this, I believe, is part of the reason why.
Men who look like you, men who vote like you, and men who sound like you. White men, something is broken. Something is cracked deep inside when so many of you believe the answer to fear, to loss, to change is violence. Are you listening to me? I hope I'm saying it loud enough for the people in the back.
That's Don Lemon. The violence we're seeing across these cities, Don, I think it crosses the color barrier and it goes to the stupidity barrier with Antifa, with these riots, with that summer of love under George Floyd. Now, the odd part about this is Don Lemon, this is a picture of him with his husband, and he looks very white and male. Planet of Memes, thank you. So, Don, what kind of domestic violence do you have in your whatever room of the house that y'all do whatever you do in? But you're saying white men are the problem. So much of a problem, you married one, Don. Let's keep moving here. This makes me sick. Okay. The House Republicans, the House Democrats, there is a bill that they're planning to shut down the government over. The Democrat Party wants more than $1 trillion for new liberal spending. They want to give taxpayer-funded health care to illegal aliens. They want to send American tax dollars to foreign countries for woke products and projects like climate resilience in Honduras. They want to go study the password people in Uganda, and they want to cut $50 billion from America's rural hospitals. Let that sink in. Thomas Massey, I believe, is part of this as well. Now, the clean Republican bill, all they want, bipartisan, no gimmick, keep the government open, short and simple. Choice is clear. You make a pick. Let me know what you think here. Password research in Uganda. It's getting worse. This is peace through strength. This is Donald Trump outside of the White House today. And I believe that's exactly what we need. Peace through strength. It is transferring overseas. We're seeing the resiliency of the American government on multiple stages, and we're finished playing these games. Here is Ilhan Omar, another what I would call radical leftist that somehow got elected in this country, and listen to what she's calling for.
I would say our country should be more fearful of white men across our country, because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country. We should be profiling, monitoring, and creating policies to fight the radicalization of white men.
There we go. I would love for her to tell the survivors, the veterans' families there at Arlington, Omaha Beach, Hamburger Hill, Iwo Jima. I would love her to tell those families that the problem in America is white men. Yeah, I'm definitely the problem. When you go to a national cemetery and you look at a headstone, you can't tell what race, gender, color, creed that the person buried is. Think about that, Ilhan. We have Tucker Carlson, and he's going to talk about free speech in the United Kingdom. And I believe the United Kingdom is conquered.
What does it actually look like when a citizen is arrested for saying something the government doesn't like? This video is not from China. It's from the United Kingdom. This is a British veteran being arrested for offending the government. Watch.
Why am I in cuffs? Because there's something he shared, then I shared.
Because someone has been caused, obviously, anxiety based upon your social media sites.
That's not his.
Why you've been arrested.
Anxiety caused by their social media post. Grow up, get thicker skin. Let's hear what Tucker says.
Oh, yes. The velvet-wrapped jackboot of British fascism. You're being arrested because someone has been caused anxiety by your views. Notice that someone is never identified, and of course the answer is someone in power. Someone in the government, or someone who funds the government, someone close to the government, someone who has a lot more power than you, didn't like what you were saying, felt anxious about what you were saying, and so unfortunately we're going to have to handcuff you and bring you to jail.
Tucker Carlson brings up a great point. He said something that caused someone anxiety. We never know who, but somebody got offended, and they'll just lock you up. Law enforcement in North Carolina is finished. They're done. Cashless bail is causing a problem. It's not just Charlotte, North Carolina. This is an epidemic. Listen to this problem. Give me your thoughts below.
How do lenient bail policies impact crime in Charlotte?
It would increase it because they know they're not going to be held accountable.
And how do you as a police officer feel when these criminals are arrested and are shortly released immediately back into the public?
I feel like the majority of the work that I've done was pointless because they'll be out on the streets while I'm still writing the report.
Well, in my view, lenient bail policies are not working in the city of Charlotte or cities across this nation.
Cashless bail is a problem. People are out, just like this officer said, before the police officer even finishes writing the damn report. Leave your thoughts below. If you're law enforcement, if you're former law enforcement, if you are a public servant, you know exactly what the problem is. Love to get your feedback on what the problem is. Let's keep moving.
National Guardsmen to Portland, Oregon, after months of protest at ICE facilities. But now Oregon is suing, arguing that Trump's claims of violence in the city are baseless, wildly hyperbolic, and that pretext. Joining us right now to discuss this is former DHS Secretary Chad Wolf. Chad, we've been down this road before with you. You put federal troops in there because they couldn't control their people.
Well, that's exactly right. We saw this during 2020 when Portland was out of control, when you had very violent protesters late at night trying to lay siege to a federal building there. And time again, I had asked the governor of Oregon, the mayor of Portland to help protect DHS law enforcement so that they could do their job. And time again, they said no. And so I sent in over 250 DHS law enforcement officers to protect federal facilities there. And that's what President Trump's talking about. He's talking about surging National Guard to protect ICE officers and other.
Look at this. There's a guillotine. They're burning some kind of effigy. This former DHS secretary sent in 250 officers a couple of years ago, and now people are freaking out because Trump's sending them back? Look at what is actually happening. This is not Yemen. This is not Baghdad. This is not Basra. This is not Ramadi. This is not China. China wouldn't put up with this. This is not Paris, France. This is a city in the United States, greatest country on the world. And we're allowing this to happen?
Federal law enforcement doing their job there in Portland, because the simple fact is the mayor and the governor refuses to let the Portland Police Department do their job and help federal law enforcement.
Right, but what you did something with federal troops, federal protection services. Are they able to do more than the National Guard would be able to do? Might that be a better option?
Well, we did. We sent in CBP law enforcement officers, ICE law enforcement officers, and others. They do have arrest authority, so a little different, unique than someone like the National Guard. And so they had that ability to go out into the crowd, understand who was committing the violent acts, witness those acts, and then arrest them as well. Look, the best case here is to let Portland police do their job, but the mayor and the governor have to get out of their way and let law enforcement do their job. If they're not going to do that, then President Trump and his team have no other alternative than to send federal law enforcement in there to make sure that federal law enforcement, ICE officers there in Portland are safe. That ICE facility in Portland, just outside the city, has been laid siege to night after night after night. And unfortunately, we don't want another incident like we saw in Dallas to happen.
I know.
That is the real problem. And that's the problem Donald Trump is trying to assess, is the safety of those officers that are only doing a job that they swore the oath to do. That is where the real answer is. And I'm not sure why this governor of Oregon, why this mayor of Portland is not getting involved and actually backing up these people. Because I can guarantee you, if their house was broken into, they would call 911 and they would scream and beg on the phone for help. That's our breakdown for today. As always, this channel is dedicated to unpacking the daily news, giving you real analysis with no filter. The mainstream media is going to spin these things and we're going to cut through it. If you found this analysis valuable, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it so more people can hear the truth. And don't forget, you can support the channel directly on Patreon and through one of my sponsors, Keen Greens. Nurture beauty from the inside out, crafted to deliver hydration. It's got 15 to 17 superfoods. You save 30% with subscribe and save. It is helped to fund a nonprofit that my wife runs to help veterans. I use a lot of the money here on the channel from super chats and memberships to help veterans get service dogs. And this product is absolutely great. Check it out. You save 10% on your first order, 30% on a subscribe and save. And here's all the ingredients. And here's what it does. Supports hydration at a molecular cellular level, replenish electrolytes, achieve growing complexion. You see, I'm glowing and growing, baby. Encourage muscle growth and recovery, and boost immunity so that you don't have to get all those things that Fauci like to pass out. This is the Ben Dykes Show. Thanks for watching. Stay sharp. I'll see you back here with more analysis of the stories that matter most tomorrow morning, 6:15 Central, 7:15 Eastern. I don't know what time it is in California, Stan. Take care. See you on the road.